All right, what do you know? Here in the classroom, phone's crooked. Who cares? I don't care. Paper. This must be paper towels are over there. Can't even point to them. Paper towels over there. Right? Who cares? It's not the perfect setup. But what I would like to do is go over the Red Roses assessment. There are paper copies in the back. I do recommend that you read it over. You know, that would be probably the best for those of you who care. I know some people don't care, but hopefully you watched the video yesterday in which I read it. I went over like every single detail. It said it would take about 3 or 4 minutes to read. That video was about 20. I went over a lot of extra things. Hopefully that was helpful. Today's going to be a quicker video because I'm hoping that you'll read this, like I said, on your own. Back table has copies. And then we'll go through the questions about this final assessment. If you're in the classroom here, great. If you're at home, I hope you feel better soon. Let me share the screen with you. Boom, there you go. So a quick story and a quick final assessment. Some comprehension questions. And when I say comprehension questions, it means what do you remember? Now, I'm always asking you, like, this is not a test. You do not have to remember everything in the story. I'm hoping that you will use the story to provide evidence. So you'll look for those quotes. The directions say right here, please answer each question as completely as possible, providing evidence from the text. The first one. Now, I don't know. Maybe I just thought his name was David. I'm going to blame it on spell check that I'm going to say I had Derek originally, but the guy's name is Derek. On the Google form, I wrote David. I don't know why, but I wrote it in like two different places. Her name's Lila, though. I got that right. So please describe how most people in David's school felt about him. This kind of goes in order. If you look towards the top of the story, you'll probably see it. There are a couple examples in the story that point out exactly how people felt about this guy. Why did some people think Derek was Lila's boyfriend? Oh, I don't know, man. Probably looking like paragraph 2. Probably a couple examples right there. You can imagine if you saw this happening, you'd be like, they're dating, or at least he has a crush on her. Number 3 is since this unit is called rites of passage, what rite of passage? What's the rite of passage that Lila went through? Well, this one you'll have to check a little bit towards the end of the story. It's kind of our climax. It's kind of the big event that happens where she comes to this realization that she has actually gone through a rite of passage. I would say maybe, I don't know, check like paragraph 12 or 13 for a hint. How about that? Question 4. Now, this is a personal question. Hopefully, you have some understanding of the story. You've read it. I'm asking, how would you have dealt with the situation Lila had to face in the cafeteria? So, right before that realization, right before she realizes that she did something kind of new for her, special, guess on that way to adulthood, like we talked about these rites of passage. And I keep saying it's on the path to adulthood for you. That doesn't mean that once you reach adulthood or you become an adult, that these rites of passage end. Like, unfortunately, for me at 45, I think another rite of passage that I'll have to deal with at my age is the death of my parents. And I've already gone through that once with my father. He passed away a little over 20 years ago. That's not fun, but that is in the cycle of life. That is what is supposed to happen. Like, I've had my children. I think that's a rite of passage for a lot of adults, hopefully adults, right? And then it's the death of your parents, going through that. So even though I keep saying that it's rite of passage is on the way to adulthood, just remember it doesn't stop in adulthood. There are many milestones or rites of passage that we have to go through, even as adults. Retirement, that might be the next thing, you know, 20 years from now. But retirement is a major rite of passage for a lot of older people. All right, now the quick write. I said, look at this. You got a picture right here with a whole lot of lines. And I said, hey, see the picture above? There are quite a few lines to fill. I'm not saying you should fill them all, but your quick write should be more than just a couple sentences. This is worth 10 points. Please put some thought into your answer. Right here. This is the quick write. What rite of passage has held the most significance for you or a person you know well? Okay, so I'm understanding that at 12, 13, 14, you know, you don't have excuse me, you don't have as many rites of passage as someone at 45 would. So feel free to use your parents or whatever. But what I want to do now is share another screen with you because I actually wrote one and I'm hoping that this will be a good example for you. You can see what I wrote. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be different. Please don't copy mine, even though I think mine's really good, but you should come up with your own. See, I think this should be the one that I want to share. Yeah. So this is mine. I think it's pretty good. This is a first draft. Blow this up so you can see it a little bit better. This is definitely a first draft. I want to make a kind of a revision on this. I think I can beef it up a little bit. I think with my word choice, I'm going to go through and try to make a couple words and a few sentences here and there pop. This is what I have so far. You can see I just put that question there so we all know what I'm talking about. I just read it. What rite of passage has held the most significance for you or a person you know well? Now, look what I did here. I pretty much restated the question for my first sentence. We probably could highlight that, but I'll just leave that in blue right now. The rite of passage that has held the most significance for me is getting my driver's license when I was 18. Boom, right off the bat, the reader knows exactly what I'm going to be talking about. It is when I got my license at 18. Yeah, I was 18 years old when I finally got my driver's license. By then, all my friends had theirs. I actually felt pretty embarrassed that I hadn't gotten mine yet. When I first took my test, I was 16. I failed. Yesterday, we talked about those short sentences, how they can really make what you're saying pop. And I tried to do that here. I failed. A very short, simple sentence, but it's to the point. My parents urged me to take the test again as soon as possible, but I was honestly afraid of failing for a second time. And in a way, I didn't really need my license. My friends pretty much drove me wherever I needed to go. I'd just throw them a few bucks for gas. But when I finally had that little card in my hand with that horrible picture that looked more like I'd stolen something in a mugshot, the feeling of freedom surged through my body. I no longer needed to beg my friends for a ride. I was now able to control the music that we listened to. And in parentheses, I think I might need some more parentheses there. In my friend group, the driver picked what we listened to. Now, I think I might want to expand on that just a little bit, just to make that a little bit more clear. I don't know. I mean, it's the 90s. We had to put tapes into the tape deck and stuff, but it's not exactly what this essay is about. It's not exactly what this answer is about. So I'll fool around with that maybe a little bit. If you have a car and gas money, you can pretty much go wherever you want. In fact, this past summer, I drove over 2,000 miles just to see my favorite band play their first concert in over a year and a half. For this first draft, I give myself a pretty decent score. I think I can make it a little better. But that's the whole thing about writing is like the way I write is I get something down, and I've been doing it for quite a while. So I can get something a first draft, I can get it down pretty in a pretty good way, and then I'll go back over it one or two times, just kind of mold it. The way I think of writing a lot of times is if you've ever seen somebody sculpting with clay, making some pottery or something, little by little you try to form that product. And that's what I do with my writing is just get a blob out there, just get something out there on paper because I think one of the hardest things is that blank piece of paper. It's very hard, at least for me, it's very hard to start something. But once I've started it and I get that just really crappy draft down, then I can go back over. And what I've noticed over the years of writing, I've been writing a long time, is my first drafts aren't as crappy as they once were. But you're probably just starting out with writing, you've been writing for 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer. Um, a little bit longer, but for real, they'll get better, those first drafts, but just get something down. If you want me to workshop with you, we can come up with some ideas. Just flag me down, raise a hand. Yo, Mr. Watson, need a little help here. Could you bounce some ideas off me? I'd be happy to do that. All right. Hopefully this was helpful.